All right, let's get started. I'm Matt. I'm the Managing Director of Sales Matrix in Australia and New Zealand. Just jumping on a webinar to take you through where we're at and what's happening with our product range. I think we've got some exciting things to show you today and point to the direction that we're really taking the company over the next 6 to 12 months. I'll just talk about the evolution of Sales Matrix, where we're at, what that journey's been like. We've got clients on the call who've been with us for quite some time, others who are relatively new. So we'll just explain the evolution of Sales Matrix as a company, talk to this big buzzword called AI and what the implications are on that, and then just jump in and show you what it looks like and how you can leverage it where we're at. The starting point for Sales Matrix has always been this idea that growth is a formula of acquisition of new customers, plus the retention of existing customers, plus the development of the accounts. Now, our focus has never been acquisition of new customers. We've always focused on retention and account development. So when you look at what I'm about to show, it's all within the lens of retention and account development and how analytics can help us with that process within an existing sales channel. Our product evolution, we started in the year 2000, a Melbourne company based on a couple of professors doing their masters or PhDs at Swinburne University, came across this thing called the Harvard Business School Balanced Scorecard. They built a series of software, and one of the softwares that they built was Sales Matrix. Kim, who's still actively involved in the company, was the primary developer. That evolution was our first product was our DataCube product, which many of you use. Ultimately, Matrix went bankrupt. They actually have a classic story of a company that grew faster than they could actually manage the professional services. They sold a piece of software called Optimus to every bank in the world just about, but then they couldn't deliver on the professional services to implement. And so they folded the company, and Kim was able to take the source code of Sales Matrix from the administrator, and the company Sales Matrix was born. We launched our first SWOT application, which is our simplification of the DataCube for sales reps, in 2013, which then evolved into a browser version in 2015. Became a Windows, iOS, Android, and app in 2019. And then today we're talking about the launch of our real new sales intelligence platform. Now, the reason that's been brought about, I'll take you through. Our DataCube, which many of you use, it's been our first product in 2003. It is actually developed on a development platform that Microsoft no longer support. And so we are limited in what we can do with DataCube moving forward. There's very little we can do from a product development perspective in that product, but it does have something like 23 years of development that's gone into it. But from a point of view of where we're going to be in the future, there's not much more we can do with that product as opposed to where it's at right now. We brought out the SWOT app, as I said, in 2019 on a brand new development platform Microsoft offered called Xamarin. And the buggers did the same thing to us again. Microsoft have now killed off Xamarin as a development platform. Unlike the DataCube product, there's a clear transition from Xamarin to their new platform called Maui, and we're basically in the late stages of transitioning from Xamarin, which is actually an X, not a Z, to Maui. And so the development of SWOT's been sort of put on hold over the last 6 months as we've transitioned away from Xamarin onto Maui, but that basically, as I said, is basically complete, and we'll continue to develop out our SWOT application, and we've got big ideas for where we're going to take that. Our sales intelligence portal started to develop on top of the SWOT application over the last few years, and with the advent of AI to help with coding, all of a sudden our team has basically taken off in what they've been able to deliver. Literally, our plans for the next 3 years have been delivered within a 3-month window since we've got our hands on AI tools for our development. And hence what you're going to see today is a massive step forward in a really short period of time because of the use of AI tools to actually help develop our AI product, which is very specific for B2B sales. the premise remains that we've built on top of the SWOT application. So we still view through the lens of strengths, weaknesses, opportunities, and threats. And you'll see that coloring and that color coding applying through the sales intelligence platform. The green for strengths, the yellow for weaknesses, the reds for threats, and this sort of other color, light green for opportunities. We continue to develop our integrations. We integrate with all the modern platforms as well as all the legacy systems in Australia. A lot of the EXO customers are being pressured to go to Acumatica. The good news is we do have Acumatica integration these days. We do have basically most of the primary ERP and inventory management systems we can integrate to. And so what you're about to see is about taking data from any application and being able to basically present the sales information around that. And it's driven by the way that we script. We have standard scripts. We also have the ability to customize those scripts for individual customers. That's enough of me talking about PowerPoint. Let's just jump in and have a look. We've moved our login portal for those of you who have been using customerswot.com for their sales SWOT analysis and SWOT management. We've moved that now to dashboard.salesmatrix.com. When I log in, it's now going to go to my dashboard. And the thing about the dashboard is it's 100% customizable, 100% customizable by you. What I've logged in today is some sample data. We've got just examples of how we can present this dashboard and the widgets that we can present within that dashboard. You've got this idea of a ticker, like watching a news and seeing the key news items present across the top. I've got the idea of like year-to-date information, graphs, and you'll see that color coding sort of applying. Red is threats, as I mentioned before, and looking at customers who have declined in their sales, sales trends trending down, businesses that have stopped buying. But ultimately, this whole grid area here, our new dashboard, is customizable. You'll see a series of widgets at the top that you can basically add, drag and drop onto the system, right? So I want to see what my top 10 products are month to date. It's going to add that down the bottom for me, and I can drag and drop that around and put it where I want to go. And I can build out my own dashboard to my heart's content. And effectively, we're going to continue to develop these out. There's been a rate of 2 or 3 being added per week at the moment, and we'll continue based on our experience over 25 years of building out the DataCube product to build out a series of widgets that help sales administrators really oversee what's going on within their sales, within their channel, with the key thing in mind, as I mentioned before, about retention and account development. You'll also see we've got the ability to add custom widgets. I basically can come in here and we can basically go through a process of building our own widgets with various options around effectively whether we're looking at trends, whether we're looking at the top 50 or the top 20, whether we're looking at decreases or increases. There's a real customizability now within the dashboard that allows you to build out what you need to see in order to oversee what's going on within your sales and within your sales channels. We've also got the hamburger menu. The hamburger menu, the 3 horizontal lines, brings up, for those of you who've logged into this product previously, this is what you would have historically seen. And we have been building out these areas of the program extensively as well. If I now go to the dynamic reporting area, for those of you who've been using DataCube, this is where we're effectively replicating the DataCube functionality. So under dynamic reports, I've got the ability to change my axes, whether I'm looking at customers, products, sales reps, etc., by period, by group, by whatever. I can look at that on revenue margin, all the functionality that you see within the DataCube product being replicated here within the browser. And as of this week, I now got the ability to apply my traffic lights, which people love within the DataCube product. So you'll see this very much matches the functionality of DataCube, because this ultimately will be our replacement for DataCube. And effectively, the only sort of question of when is when you feel like you've got the functionality you need to use this product and not need to use DataCube anymore, if that makes sense. And so we'll continue to build this out. You'll see the functionality such as save favorites, like you have within the DataCube product. Once you get to a certain view, then effectively you can save that and not have to remember how to come back to that. Now, because Arthur's on the call, I will say we are working on the ability for the period to be financial years. When I look at years at the moment, it is calendar years, which very much aligns to the way that the DataCube product works. But we are basically going to allow you to say, okay, I want months. I want to look in terms of year to date. At the moment, that year to date is going to be calendar year to date. With an update that's coming, there will be a financial year to date. Obviously in New Zealand, that's April to March. In Australia, that's going to be July to June. And once we get that, for the most part, we're going to basically start exceeding the functionality of the standard DataCube product within the browser version that we've now developed. We're not just going to replicate the DataCube product, but whilst there's been 23 years of experience go into that, what modern day technology and development tools allow us is to build things that otherwise we couldn't build, or we didn't have the thought power to build when we were setting about building the DataCube product. One of the things that we've got is an AI-driven budgeting tool, the ability for us to create budgets and do those budgets down to product level, product group level, customer level product, and effectively automate the creation of that budget based on trends, based on past year performances and those sort of things. And then being able to measure that month to date versus target with variance on what's going on for those budgets. We also have this new functionality. If you've read any recent textbooks or sales theories books, one of the biggest trends at the moment is a thing called the RFM score. So this is all about recency, frequency, monetary value, and we've added price sensitivity into the mix, right? So what we're doing here is I'm looking at my customers and I'm looking at how frequently they're buying. I'm looking at how recent they've bought, what their average monetary value is, and how sensitive they would be to a price increase. And it gives me a very good sense by customer of how important this customer is to us, what we can potentially do to do more for them, and whether there's been any changes in trend against that RFM score over time. Again, I can do my filters, and I should have mentioned at any point I can output to Excel. If I need to share this with someone, I can dump that out to Excel if I want to do further analysis, etc. Another new feature that we've just started to bring in now is within the desktop product, but you'll see that we're starting to lay it out in a much more modern, user-friendly way. And so within DataCube, you do have this idea of market basket. McDonald's know that 87% of the time you buy a Big Mac, you're going to buy fries and a Coke with that. What are the complementary selling items within your product list that you may or may not be aware of as correlating directly? I've told this story many times before, but about a decade ago, Walmart did an analysis of the most correlated items that they were selling. And the number 2 most correlated was actually nappies and beer. It wasn't something that anyone had consciously thought about. It just so happened that the buying pattern of people buying nappies was fathers on their way home from work who thought they'd shout themselves a 6-pack quite often. And effectively that was something ridiculous, like 90-something% correlation between the purchase of beer and the purchase of diapers in the US. And so this is all about being able to see where the correlations are within my customer base. I see my smoked pheasant correlating here. I've got a couple of different smoked pheasants, and we see it correlating at an attach rate of 86.5%. So 86% of the time they're buying this one, they're also buying the singles, etc., etc. So we can see those, and we can adjust it. I can set my sensitivity. I can basically look at my attach rate. I can basically see the key information about my market basket from there. Now, for those of you who have SWOT, these are then in the analysis area, the sales admin's view of what's going on within the SWOT tool. So obviously within SWOT, an individual rep can look up an individual customer and see their strengths, weaknesses, opportunities, and threats. What we can see within the portal now is, well, show me the customers who are increasing what they're buying off us. Show me the customers or the products that are increasing their sales. I can come in here and I can look at who are our new customers who've bought off us in the last 3 months, who didn't buy off us previously. Show me any cross-sell gain. Now, we added this for one of the guys on the call here at one point, where we're out there using SWOT to actively try and get attachment into our existing customer base. And what this one is telling us is this is where the sales rep has been successful in selling in a new product to an existing customer. And I can come in here and I can do that based on, well, do we count it if they only ever sold it once? Maybe we count it once they've sold it twice to that same customer, that we're basically going to say that that is a successful attachment. And I can do that based on last 60 days, or I can specify my own date range as to where I'm looking for new products being sold into an existing customer that we call attachment. Does that make sense? I'm showing a lot of information because the best thing that I can do for all of you out of today is to give you access and start having a play of this. And everyone will get access to this based on your existing account. Weaknesses, again, the same sort of things that you see in SWOT, being able to get an administrator's view of that. So these are the customers who have decreased their sales over the last 6 months. Why is that? Let's try and analyse whether there's some leakage. Another competitor has picked up some of the products, and that could correlate very directly to losing 1 or 2 products to a competitor within that customer. Opportunities to that point, these are the customers where they've stopped buying certain products. We know how many times they've bought products, what the average is, and how long since they actually bought that product. So this is a really good one for those of you who are conscious of competitors poaching you at one product at a time, which seems to be a pretty common thing within B2B wholesale at the moment. You don't just lose a customer on all your products, you start to lose them on 1 or 2 products, and then it cascades from there. So this allows me to keep on top of, well, this particular customer stopped buying bacon from us. Maybe he's sourcing that bacon now from a direct competitor. Or maybe he's buying a different size, but at least we're asking the question on why we're losing those products to that customer. I can keep going, but as I said, the best thing for us to do is to give you access and have a play. This last one here under threats, this is where customers have actually stopped buying from us, full stop. So we can keep on top of who are we losing, why are we losing them, what have we got to do to get them back, etc. All the stuff that underpins SWOT, all the administration still sits within here, but I need to be an admin then to get to it. So I've logged in here just as a standard user, and I won't see any of the configuration of SWOT. But if I was to log in, like most of you on the call are, as the admin user, down below here will be all the things that are around user configuration and all the stuff associated with your SWOT scripts and frequencies and those sorts of things as well. It's all going to be within the one portal, just depending on your user access. So this is a new thing that we've introduced, is this idea of different access to this portal. Historically, only admins had access. Now we can actually give individual SWOT users or users of the intelligence platform access without actually accessing any of the critical administration tools like adding users and changing permissions, etc. Now, I just went through that 100 miles an hour. As I said, the key thing is for you guys to have a play. Is there any questions at that point? Just open it up, put up your hand or turn on your mic and ask away. Otherwise, happy to jump in to your individual accounts, not on this call, obviously, on another call to take you through any questions that you do have.
I've been having a play. It's brilliant so far. Really impressed. I would like to know more about how to set up the dashboard, customize the dashboard. Obviously, we'll do that one-on-one or later on, but yeah, very impressed.
Awesome. Yeah, I just need to get you that financial year to date as a toggle, Arthur, and I think you'll be very happy.
Thank you.
No other questions? Well, everyone's got my contact details. If you don't, I'll put it up on the screen. By all means, reach out. I will chuck this up on YouTube so people can have a play. It will share it with the rest of the team. There's my contact details. If anyone would like to go through this, if you're not using DataCube, or if you're not using SWOT at the moment, you're only using DataCube, then we can set this up. If you are already using SWOT, then you already have access to this. Okay, you don't have to have SWOT. You can just get access to the admin portal. Ultimately, as I said, this will be the replacement for your existing DataCube solution. There's no charge attached to this at the moment. It's basically try and get as many customers to see where the transition is going to be from DataCube to this portal, and then we'll continue to build that out over time. All right. Well, thank you everyone for your time today. By all means, reach out. Let me know if you've got any questions or anything I can help with. But thanks for joining.
Thanks, Matt.
Cheers.
Thank you.
Thanks, Matt.
Thanks, Matt.
Thanks, Matt.